Pro Group Management, workers' comp that works for you.
Welcome to Nevada Newsmakers on the broadcast today, coming to you from Washington, D.C. We're at the House of Representatives studio here with Congressman Stephen Horsford of CD4 for the whole show on an all-new Nevada Newsmakers.
Safety. We all think about it. You think about it when he buckles in, when you check your mirrors and put away your phone. RTC thinks about safety too. In fact, we create it. Center turn lanes mean fewer blind spots. Bike lanes keep cyclists and you safe. Roundabouts reduce injury collisions, and all these crosswalks are designed to keep families like yours safe. Safety is your priority, and it's ours too. Every day, in everything we do.
Retail's impact on Nevada's economy? Enormous. 8,600 businesses, large and small, employing 145,000 workers. And last fiscal year, retail paid tax on nearly $60 billion in sales. We're the Retail Association of Nevada. We support retail, we help it grow, and we mean business.
RANNV.org.
Pro Group Management is the place where companies can find workers' comp solutions that are designed to meet their specific business requirements. As regulations evolve, Pro Group takes a proactive approach to clear the path to make sure your business stays ahead of the curve. Knowing your workers' comp program is optimized, you can focus on other important matters related to your growing business. Pro Group Management, workers' comp that works for you.
The 8th annual Nevada Newsmakers Goes to Washington is brought to you by the Nevada Builders Alliance, building a better Nevada. The Regional Transportation Commission of Washoe County, your RTC, our community. Pro Group Management, workers' comp that works for you. McDonald Carano, your Nevada law firm since 1949. And Tolles Development Company, breathing life into Northern Nevada's future.
This is Nevada Newsmakers with host Sam Shad, a no-holds-barred political forum. Now, from the Nevada Newsmakers broadcast headquarters, here is Sam Shad.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we're coming to you from Washington, D.C., and we're joined by Congressman Stephen Horsford of CD4. Pleasure to have you back on the program, sir.
Thank you, Sam. So good to be back.
So we're taping this on September 14th, so people know what date we're doing this.
Right.
Over this past weekend, Bob Woodward was on 60 Minutes talking about his new book. Your thoughts on the revelations that have come out of this so far?
You know, it's really just sad. Like so many Americans, I wanted our president to rise to the occasion and provide leadership during the middle of a public health crisis. But in fact, he did the direct opposite, and he's hidden the truth, information that he was privy to early into this process, which could have prevented now nearly 200,000 American deaths, untold numbers of people who have been affected by the virus, the shattering of our national economy. You know, not every life would have been saved, not every job would have been saved, but we could have gotten ahead of this a lot sooner had we been honest and truthful and out front with the American people. The president owed that to the people who elected him and the people who didn't, quite honestly, because he's the president for all of the United States. So it's really just sad and disappointing, but you know, we've got to move on from here, and I'm looking forward to turning the page, getting through the rest of this year, getting out of this pandemic, and building back our country stronger.
What's your confidence level on a vaccine being put together, at least approved by the end of this year?
So I'm a member of the Ways and Means Committee, the subcommittee on healthcare. So we meet frequently to discuss these issues, and I am working very hard to make sure that we support the effort of bringing a vaccine through development with the proper scientific trials. We can't rush this process. There's a reason that we go through that process to protect all individuals and to understand any long-term effects that may be out there. Furthermore, though, I am very concerned that once the vaccine is available, that it's gone through the necessary trials, and that it comes to the market, that it's readily available and accessible to everyone, and that it's affordable to everyone. This cannot become one of these life-saving medications that only the wealthy and the well-connected can get. I've been fighting this issue on making sure that we bring down the cost of prescription drugs from the very beginning of this Congress, and I'm going to see through it on this vaccine.
Okay, so let me ask you about that. So it appears to me from my reading that Congress has appropriated billions of dollars for the drug companies, not only to create this vaccine and multiple drug companies, but also simultaneously to actually make millions, if not billions, of copies of the vaccine to be distributed. Whether they are successful or not, that vaccine, if they are successful, would be available. Is that correct?
Yeah, it is correct, but it's all in the details and how it gets done and how quickly it gets out, who it gets out to. You know, look, COVID-19 has disproportionately affected certain communities. Everyone is susceptible, but based on underlying health issues, people with respiratory problems, diabetes, heart issues, asthma, are more susceptible. And I've seen this with my own constituents, where a large number of people in the Latino community, or a higher percentage of Native Americans, have become susceptible and have gotten COVID-19, and many of them have died because of it. And now those marginalized communities, those communities of color, need to be on the front end of getting this vaccine, and I'm going to work very hard to make sure that that happens.
And also lifestyle. I mean, there are various groups that, and around the world, not just in the United States, that live communally and by choice, not because of income. And so that's why you saw in Macau, for example, a lot of the workers who work for the casinos and those hotel industries live in dormitories. And so there are lots of people stacked on top of each other for financial reasons in that particular case. But when the virus hits, it nails everybody that's there.
Well, this also played out among a lot of our nursing homes and skilled nursing facilities right here in the United States, which again, more than half, over 100,000 of the nearly 200,000 people who have died are seniors. And a large percentage of them were individuals in nursing homes and skilled nursing facilities. So I called for a bill, introduced a bill that would actually require the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services to have to get the data from those nursing home facilities on the demographic information on the people who got COVID-19, who were infected by it, and those who died. We don't have that information right now as the federal government. And so we can't target testing, tracing, treatment, and ultimately the vaccine without that information. So that's one of the bills that I've introduced. It's a part of a larger bill on testing and community tracing that I hope we will get done in this Congress. We already passed a bill, the CARES Act, that provided $25 billion for testing. The HEROES Act would have provided another $75 billion, but unfortunately, Mitch McConnell and the Senate Republicans have not acted on that.
All right, so let's jump into that fray, obviously. So at this point in time, the House is offering a $3 billion bill on the Democratic side. What are the conversations that are going on with your Republican colleagues, both in the House and across in the Senate, to come up with a compromise? And do you believe that there will be a compromise reached before Election Day?
You know, I really do hope so. Too many people are hurting. This is about what we need to do for the American people in the middle of a pandemic that has also caused a tremendous impact on our economy. Families are struggling. They are growing in food insecure, housing crisis. Workers are struggling. You know, in Nevada, we have one of the highest rates of unemployment. It was at one point over 30%. And while the numbers gotten better, people who are unemployed were relying on the assistance from the federal government for that extra $600. That expired at the end of July, and because the Senate chose not to stay in, we weren't able to get it extended. And this is not about blaming fingers. This is about the reality that something has to get done. I get that we're not going to get 100% of what the House approved, but we also can't accept nothing for state and local government, nothing for housing assistance for people who are facing home foreclosures or evictions, nothing for food assistance. That's what the Senate bill proposed. Nothing for state and local, nothing for food assistance, nothing for housing. And so that's not a compromise. That's leaving the American people out on their own to fend for themselves in the middle of a pandemic, and that's just unacceptable to me.
Okay, so the other side of that is that the Republicans were complaining that this was a bailout for states who had public employee pension plans that had not been funded, and that there were billions of dollars in there. Would you be willing to extract that portion of it out of that bill?
First of all, it's just not even accurate. You know my background coming from the Nevada State Senate and being the majority leader for 4 years during our state's worst budget crisis. Nevada, if our bill were passed, the HEROES Act that we passed out of the House, if the Senate would take up that bill, Nevada and our local governments, the essential workers that we fund, would receive about $8 billion. That's not to go towards the pension plan. It's to help fund teachers. It's to make sure our public safety officials have the resources that they need to respond to this pandemic. The Nevada National Guard that's been doing all of the testing resources. The fact that we don't have proper mental health or social services in place to care for those.
So let me just confirm
this bill doesn't do what they say it does. We're not looking to bail out pension plans in state governments. We're looking to fund essential services that our constituents desperately need.
Okay, so this is not a battle against, for example, California's pension funds that are underfunded?
No.
Okay, so does it take because these numbers are so insane, does it take $3 trillion? Is there a compromise that says we'll go at $2 trillion, and the Senate says $1.5 trillion, and that's acceptable? Is there any of that negotiating going on?
I'm not,
because you're on the Ways and Means.
I am on the Ways and Means. I'm on the Budget Committee. I'm not chasing a number. I didn't chase a number when I was in the state Senate and I had to negotiate with then Republican governors. What I did then and I do now is I say, what do we need to do for the people of Nevada? They need help with unemployment. We need to extend unemployment through January of 2021 and include the provision of my bill that would actually give people return to work bonuses of up to $3,600 to help them get back on their feet. We need to provide funding for our schools. They're not open. They're not safe to open. And we have a number of school districts throughout Nevada that still are not able to provide distance learning adequately to their students. We need to provide essential funding to local government that funds our public hospitals so that they can continue to provide that frontline services, not just for the pandemic and COVID-19, but for all of the other healthcare issues that our communities are facing. And so I'm not chasing a number.
Okay, all right.
I want to see what the bill entails.
Let's take a break here. We need to make some money here so we don't have to come to you and ask for a bailout. We'll be right back with Congressman Stephen Horsford after this timeout.
Things are heating up at the Carson Valley Inn. Win your share of $200,000 through September 26th. Cash and free play every weekend, plus 5 times points Fridays. The good times are at CVI.
Hey, Dad? Are you learning? This place is great. Huh? You gotta try this.
Wow, this stuff is great. People are gonna love it.
Yes. Yes, they will.
Ahern Rentals began as Signal Gas Station on Las Vegas Boulevard. Founder John Ahern grew the business by offering rentals. His son Don built on John's legacy, growing Ahern Rentals into the largest independently owned American rental company, with 89 locations in 30 states. Don also brought his experience and vision to equipment manufacturing with Extreme Manufacturing and Snorkel. Today, Ahern Rentals continues to bring its family values to a new generation. Learn more at ahern.com.
The signs and symptoms of cataracts can start out small with subtle changes in your vision. So don't wait. Be proactive and take your vision into your own hands. If you're experiencing the onset of cataracts or just have questions, contact your eye care professional or call Eye Care Associates of Nevada today. Dr. Hiss has years of experience specializing in the surgical correction of eye disorders and has completed over 84,000 vision correcting procedures. At Eye Care Associates of Nevada, we'll change the way you look at the world.
Things are heating up at the Carson Valley Inn. Win your share of $200,000 through September 26th. Cash and free play every weekend, plus 5 times points Fridays. The good times are at CVI.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, coming to you from Washington, D.C., we're talking to Congressman Stephen Horsford of CD4. You're talking about the schools. So, you know, what we have seen with the schools is over the years, there has been an attempt to get internet access across the state of Nevada. And millions of dollars have been poured into the state to do this. I don't think that we realized when that money was being put in what the need would actually be. But it's an incredible need. Are you concerned, because you have young kids, that kids in Nevada are going to be losing a year, if not more, of education because of the lack of the ability to do distance learning properly?
I'm worried about them losing a year of skills. I'm worried about them losing the social interaction that comes from being in school. I'm worried about the kids who are at risk of being abused, unfortunately, because some of them are not coming from the best home environments. I'm worried about the kids who literally are having to become the breadwinners of their family at 15 and 16 years old because they're the only ones who can go to work, or the ones who are having to take care of younger siblings while trying to turn into an online digital class. But you hit the head on the nail on the head, if you will, on the issue of broadband connectivity. This is not just about education, it's about healthcare. And again, you know, my district covers 52,000 square miles. I have a lot of the rural counties throughout central Nevada. And I've gone to the community health clinics and seen directly the fact that it's because of the lack of broadband that we also don't have quality access to health care for our veterans, for our seniors, for working people. And so we have worked really hard in the legislation that we've passed here in Congress to try to get more money for Nevada. But unfortunately, we're playing catch up because the infrastructure hasn't been there for a lot of our community. And even in our urban area in Clark County, I just spoke to the superintendent this last week. 25,000 students have still not connected with the school district in one way or another this year. They're doing the best they can. I commend the teachers and the principals and school leaders for doing their part. But again, with all of these challenges on top of challenges, they really are struggling right now at this time.
It seems like what we were expecting a decade from now in terms of robotics, in terms of internet connectivity, 5G and all those things, it's being rushed to yesterday rather than 10 years from now.
Well, it's why we passed in the House the Moving Forward Act. This is a comprehensive infrastructure bill, that would make these strategic investments, not just in broadband, but also in our roads, highways, and bridges, in our sewer systems, in our schools, because we need a infusion of investment right now in the American people, in our infrastructure. This is part of Joe Biden's plan, quite honestly, to help build back our country better. It's part of why I have supported this legislation in Congress, but we've got more work to do to get these things done and to work together to make them happen.
One of the things that is so puzzling to me is that from the beginning of this crisis, the Fed has said over and over again, what we learned in the Great Recession was we did not act proactively enough. We were not aggressive enough in putting money into the system. Congress can pretty much spend whatever it wants. What is the delay? Is it a philosophical delay? Because it seems to me that, going back to this, if the Congress does not pass the money out, that I don't know whether it's going to be Republicans or Democrats who will pay the price, or everybody will pay the price at the ballot box.
Well, first, I would like to give credit where credit is due. We did pass in the first 4 bills that were signed into law, which were bipartisan bills that were enacted by the president, the most historic and biggest recovery ever passed by Congress, right? I know it was a long time ago and it's not enough and people are still hurting and we need to do more, but that was done. And so the fact that we did it before means we can do it again. And I agree that right now people don't differentiate who to blame. They're just worried about, am I going to be able to afford the rent come the first? Am I going to be able to put food on the table? Is my job going to be there? And if not, if I'm going to be furloughed or laid off, is my health care benefit going to be in place? That's what my constituents talk to me about during our telephone town halls and the outreach that we do. So, you know, the election will take care of itself. People will pay a price, but I want people to know that I'm working hard every single day, fighting for the things that they tell me they want their representative to fight for.
All right, let's take another break. We'll be right back with Congressman Stephen Horsford after this timeout.
Your good times are at Tamarack Casino. All new DC Cafe and Bar, serving breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Ooh, your good times at Tamarack.
Your good times are at Tamarack Casino.
Dimitri Prine here for Design Outdoor. Come visit Design Outdoor's store and backyard to see our wide selection of fire pits, barbecues, and pizza ovens, natural stone water features and fountains, and frost-proof pottery. Our store and backyard are located at 11600 South Virginia, just north of DeMonte Ranch Parkway. Visit designoutdoor.com or call us at 851-9499.
One of the most psychologically damaging things parents can do to children in divorce is disparage one another, which is why I can't believe I even have to make this commercial. Half of your kids' genetics come from this person you're spewing hate about. Your children have the right to love you both, but more than that, they deserve to love themselves.
Marilyn York might be a men's rights divorce attorney, but this is for every selfish parent. Shut up!
Hi, I'm Dave Newman. Remember me? I used to be the house detective, and now I'm a realtor, full-time at RE/MAX Realty Affiliates. A lot of people ask me, how's the market? You know what? It's fantastic. If you're even kicking around the idea of buying or selling, give me a call. Let's talk about it. Call me at RE/MAX Realty Affiliates and just ask for the guy who used to be the house detective, Dave Newman.
Your good times are at Tamarack Casino. All new DC Cafe and Bar, serving breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Ooh, your good times at Tamarack.
Your good times are at Tamarack Casino.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers is coming to you from Washington, D.C. We continue our conversation with Congressman Stephen Horsford of CD4. Job losses in Clark County obviously have been huge. What about in rural CD4? Because you go all the way up to Tonopah, my county.
Well, we go all the way up to Ely and Yerington, so we got a lot. Look, the unemployment has hit every corner of Nevada, of my district. I have people in rural parts of our district that are hurting, just like the folks in Clark County. Yes, the hospitality tourism industry has been the most impacted, but that has affected every segment of our economy. As you know, small businesses, about a third of their revenue typically comes from those larger industries, including mining, which has relatively done well, but the small businesses have still faltered. That's why the CARES Act included funding for the Paycheck Protection Program. I'm proud that we helped 40,000 Nevadan businesses get an EIDL or a PPP funding through the Small Business Administration. That helped save nearly 500,000 Nevada jobs. Yes, we've still got about 250,000 people who are currently unemployed in Nevada, which is too many. And we're working really hard to try to make sure, again, they get those extended unemployment benefits. And as we work to reopen our economy safely, that they get the support they need to get back to work on their feet.
Are you concerned about the moves we saw in the special session in Nevada to raise the taxes on mining, that will affect not so much the big companies, because, I mean, they'll argue, but they could potentially afford the kind of taxation that's being talked about, or some kind of compromise. But you talked about Yerington, Pumpkin Hollow, for example. Is that mine in danger if you see these kind of increases in taxes? And on the environmental side, and by the way, you've got a whole minute and a half to answer this, the lithium mine near Tonopah. Environmentalists are pushing to stop that because of Team's buckwheat. Briefly, your thoughts on that?
Well, first, I have actually been out to the site for the lithium mine where they're exploring. I understand the environmental issue, and I met with those organizations. I'm proud to have a great environmental voting record, but I also know the importance that mining does play in our Nevada economy, and I think that there's a way to balance the interest of both. As you know, I attempted to try to fix the mining tax issue. It's an issue in the Nevada Constitution that really prevents the Nevada legislature from having any flexibility, and it really prevents the industry from being able to come to the table and contribute to the state when they're able to do so. And so that is something that I hope ultimately the voters will have a say in, but it's all about giving the legislature the ability to set the revenue structure to try to move our state forward, and mining is an essential part of that.
Do you believe, just a quick yes or no answer, the Ioneer will be able to go forward with the lithium mine?
I believe that they're going to get there together, and we're going to protect
Team's buckwheat.
The Team's buckwheat, which I saw firsthand, and I think there's a way to do the reclamation and the remediation that's necessary to protect that endangered species.
And that's where we have to leave it. I am so sorry we don't have more time. This has been a great interview, and I appreciate your time, sir.
Thank you.
And we'll be right back.
A bird's eye captures its surroundings at different heights. At Brian Culpa Photography, we can make your imagination soar over buildings, parks, cityscapes, and beyond. Brian's images tell the story and get the job done. If you need a new perspective to tell your story, contact Brian today. Brian Culpa Photography. Experience the bird's eye view at brianculpaphotography.com.
Hi, my name's Marilyn Miner, and I'm sure you'd agree that Nevada's a very special place to live. I was born here, and my husband and I have raised our family here. I feel it's a privilege to live and work in the Truckee Meadows. I especially enjoy helping my clients reach their real estate goals. Sometimes the smallest details provide the greatest satisfaction. I'd be complimented to talk to you about your next move.
Call Marilyn Miner at Dixon Realty, 742-1280, or log on to marilynminer.com.
Safety. We all think about it. You think about it when he buckles in, when you check your mirrors and put away your phone. RTC thinks about safety too. In fact, we create it. Center turn lanes mean fewer blind spots. Bike lanes keep cyclists and you safe. Roundabouts reduce injury collisions, and all these crosswalks are designed to keep families like yours safe. Safety is your priority, and it's ours too. Every day, in everything we do.
Pro Group Management specializes in providing industries with the necessary components to satisfy and exceed workers' comp requirements. Every business has unique needs and specific regulations. Pro Group Management stays ahead of the curve, providing up-to-date services to keep your industry in top form. Discover how we simplify your tasks, improve efficiency, and reduce expense to keep you moving in a positive direction. Pro Group Management. Workers' comp that works for you.
We'll see you on the next broadcast coming to you from Washington, D.C. We'll see you then.